Welcome to our practice for UDANA VAYU. This is the upward movement that's associated with the throat and speech and chanting. So we're going to work some chanting into our practice today. Starting in a comfortable seat on your mat. And first, as you let yourself settle into that place of stillness, we watch the breath coming in and down into the lungs and then out from the body. And we watch that movement through the throat specifically because this is the area of focus for UDANA VAYU. It is on the exhale, it is when the air is coming out of the throat that we are able to create sound and speak and chant. This is the source of communication and connection. When we are talking about the other Vayus in Prana Vayu, the movement of drawing the air in, even in drawing the air in and down, there is an upward lift. And then in the process of exhaling, we associate that with letting go and settling. But the exhale also has a balance of upward and downward movement. So it's an interesting dynamic that we have to our breath. So now as we exhale, we're going to add a humming sound to our breath to create a strong vibration in the throat and to really focus our attention in this part of the body before we go into our practice. So it goes like this. We inhale. It's like an internal om. So we'll take a few breaths just like that. Inhaling. Letting yourself settle into the silence after that sound. And then in that silence, we're going to come to our Ujjay Breath, the ocean sounding breath, creating a bit of restriction in the back of the throat as we exhale so that you have that sound. Letting that sound become an anchor for your breath, for your mind, so that your breath is occupying your thoughts rather than letting your thoughts wander off in another direction. So that Ujjay breath is what we're going to use for the rest of our practice. It's usually our breath that we use in a vinyasa or in a flow practice. So now let's come over onto the back. And we're going to do some work on the neck as we come down here. Opening the arms out to the sides and just totally letting the shoulders relax back. Take a couple exhales, let the weight of your head completely drop into the floor. Let the weight of the shoulders melt back. We're trying to let go of the layers of tension that we know are there. But they are so normal that a lot of times we don't notice them anymore. We're just used to it. After a few breaths, letting the head feel heavy, we're going to start to rock the head from side to side. It's a very slow movement whenever we're working with the neck. Slow, gentle, precise movements. But if you tend to rush overall, if you know that you have a habit of rushing, make this movement even slower than you feel like is natural. Come back into the center. We're going to push the chin up to the ceiling and then tuck it down. Same slow, precise movement. Letting the weight of the head stay resting down onto the floor. You're just using the back of the head as a pivot point. And then find neutral. Take your hands, interlace the fingers at the back of the head, making a hammock so that your head is completely supported. And then we're going to do some of those movements with the arms. We're watching as we go through this process to see if the neck can let go of control. Can you just let your arms do all of the work here? Let your head and your neck go for a ride. Change your direction, nodding forward and back. Especially as you go back, the weight of the head just drops down, relying on your arms. And then come back into center, let the elbows drop open, let the weight of the head settle against your hands. And we'll bring the arms down by the sides. So now taking the legs out straight, and we're going to go into a more active movement with the neck to create strength in the front of the neck. To do that, lifting the head up until you feel the muscles in the front of the neck working for you. These are usually a little bit weak, so if you need to, use your hands for support. Or we'll take the arms out front and lift one leg into a half boat. But you're tucking the chin down. Feeling those muscles working just to hold the head up. The head is heavy. And then relax down. Rock the head from side to side. And we'll do that on the other side. So we're going to take the head up. Arms lift, or you can use them for support. Lift the opposite leg. And lower that down. Head relaxes and rocks gently. Now we want to strengthen the neck muscles in the opposite direction. So for the back of the neck, we're going to bring the arms right by the sides and push the elbows down into the floor, just enough that you can see my rib cage starts to lift up. I'm squeezing my shoulders back down toward the floor. Like I'm trying to draw my shoulder blades toward each other. And then start to push your head down into the mat. The back of the skull pushes against the floor. So it's a nice isometric contraction. All the muscles in the back of the body are working. And then you lower it down. See how quickly you can release effort in the neck and the shoulders. When we want the muscles to work, we want that strength to be there. But when we want to let go of effort, we don't want there to be lingering tension. So that's what we're trying to train our body to do. Okay, lifting up into what I call the shoulder bridge. Shoulders come back, Rib cage is lifting, shoulder blades draw onto the back. Press the back of your skull down into the mat. And then drop that down and release. Let the shoulders melt back. Let the weight of the head completely fall against the floor. Take as many breaths there as you need to feel like you've let go of that effort. And then we'll roll ourselves over to the side. Back up into sitting. Okay, so I'm going to show you this next stretch from the back. I'm going to turn around because it's easier to see this way. But first we're just going to sway the head from side to side. We don't do a whole lot of side-to-side movements in our yoga practice, so this is one that we want to work into our warm-up whenever we can. Now to enhance that active stretch, you're going to take your hands down to the sides like you're pushing your palms or your fingertips down toward the floor. That is going to depress the shoulder blades and help to lengthen the neck. Then we go back into that side-to-side movement, you'll feel a little more restriction this time. The next time that your head goes to the right, let's stay on that side. My right hand comes over and just rests gently on the side of the head. I'm not actually pushing or being aggressive. Everything is gentle with the neck. The left hand is going to come out to the side, reaching out through the fingers, and then circling the wrist. After a few wrist circles, turn your thumb down toward the floor. Swing that arm behind your back into a little bind. Drop down with the point of the elbow, let the shoulder relax. So that way the left shoulder and the head are moving away from each other. Release the bind with your left arm. Release the hand from the side of the head and come back up. Roll your shoulders back. Okay, we'll do that on the other side. Drop the hands down. Really actively squeeze your shoulder blades down your back. Lengthen your neck up. Let your head drop to the left. Left hand comes over and rests on the side of the head. Now we take the right arm out to the side and circle. The thumb turns down toward the floor. We sweep it behind the back. And then staying here for a few breaths, letting the right shoulder go down and moving the head away from the shoulder. Release the right arm from its bind. Release the left arm, bring the head back up. Really big rolls back with the shoulders. Swimming the shoulders back one and then the other. Okay, so now that we have done some work to open up the neck and the throat, we're ready for our chanting and integrating that into our practice. We'll come down onto the knees into hero pose, and we're going to use the chant of Om because that's our most common chant that we use during practice. The inhale is rising up onto the knees into kneeling mountain, and then the exhale, we're going to Om on the way down, 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 and settle into child's pose. Inhale, come up. Letting yourself rest here in child's pose. Your attention settles on the movement of the breath through the throat. And then walking yourself back up into sitting. Just take the hands behind the back and interlace them into Yoga Mudra. Rock the head from side to side, just like we were doing earlier. Okay, and then we'll put the hands onto the knees. And our next breath that we're going to do for Udana Vayu is lion's breath. And I see this as the breath that is the most connected to Udana Vayu because there is this strong upward exhale, lots of force in the direction of Udana Vayu. So lion's breath is a fun one. You're going to put the hands down onto the knees. When you exhale, the tongue sticks out. You exhale in a breath, and the eyes turn up toward the ceiling. Okay, so we'll take 3 strong breaths like that in a row. Inhaling. And then letting yourself rest, turning your palms up. Breath slows down, but keep that awareness in the throat. And then we'll flip the hands over, and we're going to come back onto hands and knees. Okay, so using that similar ha breath, that strong exhale out of the mouth, we're going to draw the right leg back, lift the head, open the front of the throat, and then your exhale is knee to chest and getting a little stronger every time. One more. And rest. Give the shoulders and the hips a little shake, and then we're going right over to the other side. Left leg goes back, head and neck lift, open the throat, and then exhale. Last one. Let the knee drop down, fold back into child's pose. Okay, lifting up, coming back into hero. We're going to take a similar movement that we did from our kneeling mountain down to child's pose with our chant of Om, but this time working from the knees. If your lower back is a little bit sensitive, be careful with this. You might want to go back to the other version if that felt better for you. But this is going to be a little bit of a lift with the lower back muscles to create strength there. So it's starting out, coming down, arms open out into a T. Your inhale is to come up, to expand, to lift the throat, and then it's a slow exhale, Om, like you're diving down to the mat. Okay, 3 like that. Inhale, open, expand. Settle right down into child's pose. Letting your head rest on your hands or on the floor, and then rocking your head from side to side with the support of the forehead. Very soft movement, very little effort. And the movement slower and softer. And then pausing when you find center. Come up towards sitting, and then start to make your way down onto the mat for Shavasana. So one last pose before we go down into Shavasana. We're going to take a fish pose, because this is going to open up the throat and just integrate everything else that we've been working on with UDANA VAYU. So bringing your hands underneath your hips like I just did, pressing into the elbows, and the effort is really from the arms, from the elbows pushing into the mat, and the head is resting back. Create some reach and some length out through your toes, and then just watch your breath here. Watch that movement through the throat. Release, lowering down. Keep that openness across the chest and use it to tuck the shoulders a little farther underneath your back as you settle down into Shavasana. When you find yourself in stillness, you can let yourself rest here for as long as you like.